The Real Estate Agents Act of 2008 came into force on the 17th of November 2009. The aim and purpose of this act is to promote and protect the interests of consumers and to promote the public confidence in the real estate industry. There are 6 key milestones for a real estate agent and standard sale processes. In this video presentation, we will go through these 6 milestones.
When an agent first starts engaging with a vendor client, they should obtain a copy of the certificate of title for the property. This helps determine whether the property description on the listing matches that of the title. They must also establish whether there are interests or restrictions on the title, such as covenants, caveats, and easements. If there are, then this should be made aware to potential purchasers and the vendor of the property. The agent must research the zoning, planning restrictions, and council requirements so they can point out obvious restrictions. Real estate agents are obliged to verify claims made by the vendor and further point out any issues they become aware of. When marketing, it is important that the real estate agent understands what they are selling and that all the information being advertised is correct. If you receive any information that conflicts with what is being advertised, you must take immediate action and remove it. Agents are obliged to disclose any information relevant to the sale and purchase process. This is part of the Real Estate Agents Act 2008. A mandatory pre-contract disclosure statement is provided under the Units Title Act 2010. It is often a general explanation of the property and is given to prospective purchasers.
The next key milestone is receiving offers from potential buyers. The offer process will depend on the method of sale which the vendor has chosen. This could include sale by negotiation, auction, or tender. Once receiving an offer, the vendor will have 3 options. This includes either accepting the offer, rejecting the offer, or starting negotiations via a counter offer. The role of an agent when receiving offers is that all offers and negotiations go through them. Under Section 6.1 of the Real Estate Agent Act, the licensee must act in good faith and deal fairly with all parties engaged in the transaction. And under Section 10.7, they must disclose any known defects in the property to the customer involved.
Agency relationships are fiduciary relationships. Agents must fulfill the tasks they have been assigned with due skill and care and within the scope of the authority that they have been given. Agents must not delegate their role and must not let personal interests conflict with the interests of the client. Generally, sale and purchase agreements have the real estate agent acting as an intermediary. This means that the agent will deliver the offer, counteroffer, and acceptance between the parties while acting for the vendor. Agents have the authority to receive communication on behalf of the vendor. However, unless express authority was given, they do not have the authority to commit the vendor to a contract. This means that while the agent can act as an extension of the vendor when being delivered with acceptance, the agent is usually not allowed to sign on the vendor's behalf when being delivered with a counteroffer.
The payment of a deposit is a very important milestone in the sale process for a real estate agent. Generally, the commission that the agent receives is taken from the deposit paid by the purchaser, and in this case, there are certain contractual and statutory considerations that need to be taken into account. The ADLS agreement requires the deposit to be held as a stakeholder until the stakeholding period has finished. This restricts the agent from withdrawing any money from the deposit for 10 working days, even if the sale and purchase agreement has become unconditional within that 10-day period. The agent is required to pay the full amount of money to the person who is lawfully entitled to. In the case House v. REAA from 2013, the judge determined that real estate agency work continues until settlement of a transaction. However, in some circumstances, such as settling a commission dispute, real estate agency work can continue after the settlement. However, generally on the day of settlement, the agencies will meet with the vendor as well as the purchaser to exchange finalized documents and to organize the remaining price to be paid. After settlement, the real estate agency work is generally seen as completed.
During taking the vendor's property to market, Mitchell Roberts and Pehemana Tairakena failed to disclose relevant information to the sale and purchase process. The complainant vendor gave instructions to disclose pending construction at 2 neighbouring properties and the villa. Under the Real Estate Agents Act 2008, Robert and Tairakena were obliged to disclose this information.
In the case Grant Robertson 2020, whilst receiving offers from potential customers, the licensee did not disclose to the complainants that he was a prospective purchaser. It is not always necessary to disclose this information. However, the licensee informed to the vendors that he would stop being involved in negotiations. By withholding information that in fairness should have been provided to the complainants, the licensee had breached Rule 6.4. The licensee also failed to act in good faith and dear fairly to all parties involved. The licensee was supposed to inform the complainants of a deadline for offers. By not disclosing to the complainants this deadline, the licensee breached Rule 6.2 and Rule 6.4.